Well, we've made it to the second bye week of this 2024 football season, and our Tennessee Vols are 6-1 and are firmly in control of their own destiny. We still have every opportunity to play for an SEC championship game. We have the opportunity to get into the college football playoffs as well. So I will take 6-1 all day long. The loss to Arkansas is kind of disappointing, but listen, we beat Oklahoma, NC State, Florida, Alabama. You know, I'll take that all day. So anyway, in this video, I'm going to talk about four things. Okay, first thing is, let's look at these last 7 games. How do I think Tennessee's performed offensively, defensively? Let's talk about this past 7 games. Second thing is, let's talk about the people that have surprised me, offensively and defensively, the surprises, and also the MVPs in the season so far, 7 games. Thirdly, Nico Iamaleava. He holds such a big, important part to if we're going to do anything this year. If we are going to be special, he has to play at a certain level. So how do I feel like he's played the last 7 games, and how do I think he's going to do in the remaining 5 games? And then lastly, we're going to talk about the last part of this schedule. We're going to break it down, going game by game on the remaining part of the schedule. We're just going to talk about that. So let's get right to it. Tennessee 6-1. Obviously, they lost that really weird game to Arkansas, but Tennessee's played well. Especially defensively. Offensively, we started the year really, really good, really hot. We got into SEC play and we were shut out the first 3. Well, not the Oklahoma game, but Arkansas, Florida, and Alabama. We were shut out in the first half of those games, and you just can't win a lot of games that way. But here's the good news. The defense showed up. And so the defense in this first 7 games, the most points they gave up is 19 points. Still not give up 20 points this year has our defense. So, man, this defense has been very, very, very special. I just cannot say enough of how good this defense has kept us in games. And, you know, defensively, they are good at every level. You know, we knew the front 7 was going to be really good with the linebackers and the defensive line, specifically the defensive line. But, man, the secondary has been lights out too. They're in the top 20 of all the metrics as well. So when you have all 3 levels playing at that kind of level, you're going to have a good defense. And they are they are the best defense in the country in my opinion. At top 3 at worst, but I think they're the best defense in the country right now. And the numbers back me up on that. But let's talk about the people that have surprised me, and then we're going to talk about the MVPs. So the surprises, let's go defensively first. Boo Carter has been my biggest surprise on defense. This guy is starting and playing a ton as a true freshman. I cannot believe somebody can come in and not have any kind of experience at the collegiate level and play at the level that he's playing. The last person that I saw play like this in the secondary this young is Eric Berry. He has Eric Berry type talent. So Boo Carter defensively is the one who's really surprised me. Offensively, Deshaun Bishop, he is a great complimentary back to Dylan Sampson. You know, nobody really talks about Deshaun Bishop, but man, he every 3rd or 4th series he gets in there and he gets his carries, and he doesn't turn the ball over. He doesn't miss assignments. He has been a huge asset to us this year in helping get Dylan Sampson rest and helping us out. So now let's talk about MVPs in my opinion so far, 7 games into this season. On the defensive side. Jermod McCoy is obviously one of the MVPs. This guy, I mean, he shut down corner. He'll knock your head off. He's doing everything right now from what we need in a cornerback. He was the biggest pickup this offseason. We got him from Oregon State, and man, he's been lights out. And And then the second person that I would have to say, and this is hard because he didn't really start the season off on a great note. It wasn't a lot of his fault, but James Pierce, he was limited in playing time. We blew a lot of teams out, so we pulled him out of games. So his stats were not that good. But man, I think I saw a stat. It was either today or yesterday. He's got the most QB pressures of any defensive end in college football this season. He had a sack and a half in the Bama game, and I think he's got 3 or 4 sacks in the last 2 or 3 games. He's just completely causing havoc, and he single-handedly won us that Alabama game with how destructive he was. So James Pierce is my MVP on defense, one of the MVPs on defense. And now let's talk offensively, who the MVPs are. Obviously, it's Dylan Sampson. Dylan Sampson has over 800 yards rushing. He is on target. He's averaging 123 yards a game. He is on target to surpass Travis Stevens and what he rushed in 2001. And Travis Stevens rushed for over 1,400 yards in 2001. So he's on target to have a huge season, and just cannot say enough good things about Dylan Sampson and his leadership and his ability to do everything, whether it's pass blocking, catching out of the backfield, running the football. He is doing everything perfectly. And that really is my only MVP offensively so far. He's really been a one-man show, and so that covers the MVP part. And now I want to talk about, okay, the piece here that if we want to win an SEC championship or make a deep college football playoff run, it really hinges on Nico Iamaleava's performance in this last 5 games. You know, he has struggled at times in these first 7 games. He got off to a hard start. Everybody was comparing him to Peyton Manning. Everybody was comparing him to the greats that played at Tennessee. He hit SEC play, and it was like he hit a brick wall. A lot of it is his own fault, and a lot of it is not. It was stuff that was out of his control. 2 tackles who were not pass blocking very, very well really hurt him and his growth, in my opinion. And then, receivers have dropped some balls at times too. They've not helped him at other times. But Nico has to play better. He has to be more consistent. He has to quit making bad decisions. He cannot hold the ball as late as he is and get us in really long situations, 3rd down situations, second, whatever. He has to get rid of the football and not have fumbles and turnovers. And he's had some really bad interceptions this season. Now, if you watch that second half of that Alabama game, though, it really shows you the potential that Nico has. He's a dual-threat quarterback who can keep the ball and he can cause a lot of problems. I mean, for defenses if he's on and he's accurate. I mean, he had 2 perfect passes against Alabama to Dante Thornton, and he had another beautiful pass to Chris Brazzell. So if that Nico in the second half of Alabama shows up, Tennessee has a chance to win any game they play this year, because the defense is going to keep us in every single game. But listen, offensively, we're going to have to score more than 0 points in the first half. We're not going to beat good teams if we can't score in the first half. I'm hoping a light bulb came on for Nico in this Bama game, so he will play better in the remaining 5 games. So I do think Nico's going to get better. I think he is going to, as the season goes on, he's going to get better every single game. And I'm praying he does, because we have to if we want to make any kind of college football playoff run. Without that, we're going to get eliminated. We either won't make the college football playoffs, we'll lose a couple games in this stretch, or we'll lose the first game in the college football playoffs. So. It hinges really on Nico's play. And now let's talk about the last part of this schedule. So Tennessee has a bye week this week. Then we play Kentucky at home. Let's start with Kentucky. Kentucky is 3-4 right now. Just a weird team, man. I mean, you watch them play Georgia, losing by 1 point at home to Georgia, going down to Ole Miss, and beating Ole Miss, but then they turn around and lose to Vanderbilt. They got killed at home against South Carolina, and they just got slaughtered in the swamp against Florida. So Tennessee should beat, especially coming off a bye, especially being at home. Tennessee should take care of business against Kentucky. It would be much more disappointing to me to lose to Kentucky than it was to Arkansas, because at least Arkansas was on the road. So Tennessee should win that game. I don't think Kentucky's going to do a lot offensively on our defense. I would be surprised if Kentucky scores 14 to 17 points, honestly, on this defense. And I think Tennessee should win this one by double digits. Then we play the next week. We play Mississippi State at home. This is a team that has 0 SEC wins. They've had a really tough season. Mississippi State is 1-6 so far on the season. They've got a new coach in Jeff Lebby, but they are getting better. They play competitively against Texas. They play Georgia competitively. So they're getting better. They played A&M competitively. So those are 3 really solid football teams that they were in the ball game with and played competitively. So Tennessee does not need to take this opponent lightly, but Tennessee's going to win this game unless something really weird happens. So there's 2 games that we should win. Now, here is the game that if Tennessee loses, it would not surprise me, and that's when they go to Georgia and play the 6-1 Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia looks like they're kind of turning the corner. If you watch the Texas game, they completely owned that game. Limited Texas to 29 yards rushing. And this was on the road in a very ruckus environment against the number 1 team in the country. Now, the good news when you play Georgia is Georgia's offense is not looking good right now. They can't run the ball effectively. Receivers dropping balls. Beck's throwing interceptions. So Georgia's beatable, even if it is in Athens. But I would, if I was a betting man, I would say Tennessee will probably lose that game unless Nico Iamaleava really picks it up and starts playing more consistent. Because if you think he's struggled against Florida's defense, if you think if he can struggle against Arkansas's defense, Georgia's defense is at a whole other level. Georgia's defense is in the same category that Tennessee's defense is. So they're going to have to play a lot better offensively if they want to beat Georgia. But it is winnable. But I think that will be the game that we drop, honestly. So the next week we play UTEP. UTEP's not a very good team. We should destroy UTEP. They're at 1-7 right now. That's their record, 1-7. So, and then we will close the season out against the surprise team of not just the SEC, but the NCAA as a whole, the college football world as a whole, and that is Vanderbilt Commodores. 5-2. They were projected to only win 3 games this season. Diego Pavia, who's from New Mexico State, they picked him up, and he's been a one-man show. He has completely made this team, whether it's running the ball or scrambling around and making a deep throw. And Vanderbilt, it's just amazing that the difference that they've had from last year to this year. Clark Lee is firmly off the hot seat, and he's going to get, in my opinion, probably some consideration to get a bigger school, because what he's done this year in turning Vanderbilt around is short of miraculous. So Tennessee, I think, will end the season at 10-2. 10-2, in my opinion, will get Tennessee in the college football playoffs easily. If it don't, there's something wrong, because with that schedule and with the wins and only having 2 losses, you got to be in the college football playoffs. I do think there's going to be several SEC teams with 2 losses, but I think as long as you're south of the 3 losses, you're going to be in. Now, 3 losses, you're probably out, but if you can keep it to 2 games, and I said that in the preseason, you're going to be in the college football playoffs. But anyway, 7 games in, Tennessee 6-1. The last 5 games, I feel like Tennessee's only going to drop 1 game. I think Nico is going to pick it up. He's going to play better. He's going to improve a little bit. And I think that the Tennessee Vols are going to play their best football in this last half of the season, and they're going to be ready and primed for the college football playoffs. But guys, I appreciate you sitting here watching me talk and breaking all these things down, and I will talk to y'all later. Have a great day.